Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do a little video, a little comparison with some different irons and two different sort of shapes of iron.
Yeah.
Two different types of iron. We're going to look at a traditional true blade.
Yep.
Very clean lines, minimal offset, just the truest of true blades. We're going to actually go with the Mura Y grind, which is about as good looking a golf club as you can get.
And a very simple, like thin blade, not any, not no technology, but a very traditional looking club.
There's not much help there, is there really?
Yep.
In terms of head design, some of the things that would go into making a head more forgiving than your traditional blade, perimeter weighting that we know of since back in the Ping Eye 2 days when Carsten Solheim first came out with that design just to make the club significantly more forgiving. This is much more along a traditional line of iron.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to compare that today to a modern day, or something we would consider to be very popular in the modern kind of iron design.
Yep.
This is our #1 best-selling iron in the store. This is the Strixon Z565. Very clean lines, but it's a cavity back design.
Yeah, it's got a pretty serious cavity in here. But
it has. It's got a little undercut cavity.
Yep.
It's a two-piece head, so it's a forged body with a cast face.
I remember you talking about that.
Yep.
So the forged body allows you to bend it more and
very
such like
bendable.
that.
We can really very adjustable, so we can kind of dial the player in. Some of the heads, maybe by Ping or TaylorMade M4 or Callaway Steelhead or Epic, those types of game improvement clubs, they're not very bendable.
Right.
They're a lot more rigid in their frame design.
Because the whole thing is cast.
That's it.
Right.
So not as easy to customize. You can adjust the loft and lies, but something like this for me is a little bit easier to really dial the player in for. And we actually can adjust it for loft and lie during the fit itself because of how soft that body is. So the purpose of the video today is really to compare a traditional head versus a blade, a blade versus a modern day cavity back at the exact same loft and lie.
Exact same loft. So you put
key.
them at 29-degree 6 irons.
Yep.
So the only differences that we should see, if there are differences in, let's say, ball speed, height, forgiveness, they're not having anything to do with the loft.
Nothing to do with the loft.
Just the head
nothing
design.
to do with it's just head design.
Right.
We're going to see what influence the CG placement has. We're going to see what influence multi-material head has over a one-piece head. That type of thing. So when you guys are kind of gravitating towards a club that looks better, i.e. the blade, you'll see what the trade-off is by going to that blade over something that's more of a kind of forgiving cavity design. Okay, so the first thing, it was interesting, when I put both together for you, you looked at the Strixon and went, geez, that looks good.
It does, yeah. So of all the, this isn't a massive cavity iron, but it's got a serious amount of, forgiveness.
It does.
The top line is very thin. And I don't think there's many others that I've seen with the same forgiveness that were quite as good looking.
And I think that's why this one, it sort of, so many people are attracted to it, because you get the best of so many different things. You get the looks, you get the feel, you get the performance.
Right.
Whereas there are some trade-offs going towards some smaller heads.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Matt, we done a fit with you last week and we dialed you in with the Dynamic Gold X7. We're going to use that exact same shaft today.
Okay.
Try both heads with the same shaft at the same length, which is, guys, a standard length is what we're going to be using today. So we're really making a big point here today of controlling the variables that go into an iron. So we are literally looking, this is truly blade versus cavity.
And that's what when we talked about this idea, I thought, okay, I've seen that video elsewhere. I don't think I've ever seen someone do it properly this way, where they actually had the lofts correct, because that's where those conversations always go. They say the loft is stronger, that's why the ball goes further. And in some cases, of course, that's the case.
Right.
But it will be really cool to see what is the head design actually doing, regardless of loft.
Matt's a perfect example for this because he's a good player, but you'll be the first to admit you don't hit every shot be bang on. Now, a lot of people go, well, Matt's too good to be doing this because he's not really going to show up what a true miss hit looks like in a blade.
Oh no, I'll miss hit some for sure.
GC Quad will maybe prove that wrong. Yeah. And it'll show that there are some miss hits on there. We've got our impact markers on the head there just to show us exactly where strike point occurs.
Yeah.
At the end of it, we're going to look at how far away from the sweet spot we were hitting those, and then we're going to look at with the drop off there, look how much ball speed we lost there. So We're going to go at this from a pretty independent standpoint. We've controlled as many variables as we can, and let's put it to test. What do you want to hit first, cavity?
I was going to ask you,
blade?
what do you think makes more sense?
I say we go with the cavity.
Cavity first. Okay.
Yeah,
let's
see
do it.
what that does.
Okay.
Okay, Matt, we're ready for you. Let's give the Strixon a little try. How'd that one feel?
Okay, a little slightly heavy.
Little prediction on the strike, where you would have hit that in the face?
High.
High. Look at that.
Good guess.
Good guess. Okay, good. That one sounded better.
Yep. Might have been a little out of the toe, but better hit. Pretty good. Certainly quite a high flight so far.
Yeah.
What you're seeing. That's a better hit.
Squeezed it a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, all very playable shots, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty happy with all those.
Yeah. Little variety of strikes. I mean, looking at those three, very similar vertical.
Yeah.
But they're all a little bit toe side.
Yeah, it didn't seem to have much drop off on the carry anyway, right?
No.
Not bad.
Pretty consistent.
I mean, I haven't smoked one yet. That's the best of the three.
It's nice.
I think my alignment's a little off, but that's by far the best strike.
Interesting that there appears to be a little bit of a draw in there.
Yeah.
Almost a pull draw.
I don't think it's my alignment. I don't think. As you say, they're coming off the club feeling really nice. Is there a bit of more offset on this maybe than I'm used to?
It's exactly what it is.
Okay.
I mean, there's no doubt about that the offset is what's going to encourage the face to rotate a little bit more.
Yeah. Really nice feeling club though.
They're fantastic, aren't they? I mean,
they are really good.
For all kind of design purposes, this is such a good club and something that people should really take some time to go and try.
Yeah.
The Strixon 565.
And a reasonably priced club.
Reasonably priced. The upgrade shaft selection is extensive. They feel great. They look great. They kind of tick all the boxes.
Should we get a couple more in?
Let's see. Let's do one more and then we'll flip into the Mura blade.
Okay.
That sounded so good.
I hit them quite well. That was probably, again, a little on the toe, but not anything I'd be unhappy with.
I mean, 200 yards is how far we kind of expect you to be flying it.
Oh, it was way on the toe.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't.
That might be a little off.
At times, some light spots on the head can.
Right. But it was, by my feel, it was a bit toey, for sure.
Okay. One thing to mention, guys, when you're seeing this type of thing on the quad, we're showing the, if I can kind of go in a little bit here, we're showing the strike point relative to the markers.
Right, markers.
Okay, so like when that shows that it's on the edge of the toe, it's not. It's on the edge of the marker, so it's just out in the toe.
Someone on the edge of the actual club probably wouldn't get in the air.
It would be some serious twist and deflection and
probably
torque.
wouldn't have flown 200 yards onto the green.
Okay, so quite pleasantly surprised at how good that felt.
It was great. Yeah, I've seen those plenty of times, and you've done a bunch of fittings, but I've never actually hit that set. They're nice.
Okay.
So again, we're at the same exact loft.
29.
And we're just
62.
going. So an important, as we talk about the differences between blades and cavities, maybe the offset is one that doesn't get mentioned enough.
In so many ways.
Yeah. Because I'm just looking at this, coming out of the hosel straight to the toe, it is so much straighter than that club.
So the purpose of offset, increase curvature or increase face rotation.
Right.
It will increase launch angle. That's the two main features or functions of offset.
Increases launch angle as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that might not be one that most people, I didn't realize, I thought it was all face, but I guess face angle has an effect on the launch angle anyway.
Yeah, moving that CG further back away from the shaft CG line just will help increase launch a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Sounded awfully good, Matt.
Familiar feel there.
Sounded awfully good. Go in.
Yeah, I struck that one nice.
Wow.
It seems to be, so that same swing with the Strixons was going right on me for sure.
I'm kind of excited the fact that we fitted to those Mura clubs last week to see how good this is.
Yeah.
Like you're losing next to no performance. Look at those two dispersion circles.
Yeah, so far.
Like launch and spin, look how tight they are.
Am I swinging any faster with the, not much?
No.
Fractional?
Very, very minimal. Interesting to see the dynamic loft is different even though we know the static loft is the same.
Okay, so why would that potentially be the case?
When we're using the same shaft, Matt, honestly,
who knows?
It could be the way quad is measuring two slightly different shaped heads differently.
Yep, but it's not enough to be a massive consideration.
Yeah, there's no reason for a 2.3 degree separation in dynamic loft.
Yeah, so that might have just been a bit of an off read there. But so far, I mean, that's only 3 balls. I would say the shot going right, I felt this would have gone right if it was the other one with the offset.
Well, there's your answer for the dynamic loft conundrum, is the Strixon rotates more, therefore loses more loft.
Comes down a little bit.
That's what
makes sense. So for anyone, I mean, here's a good place to start. If you slice the ball, something with a little bit of offset and a bigger cavity is more than likely better for you right from the get-go.
For sure.
Yeah. And if you hook the ball, then a blade might help you reduce that.
Yeah, I mean, just showing how neutral your ball flight has become there, going to the blade. I mean, you've literally hit 3 on top of each other.
And they're very, no curvature to it, as you
literally could throw a blanket on those. I'm almost waiting for the one that you miss-hit.
Yeah, I like
just to see how much it drops off.
I'm sure it's coming. So I definitely mishit that. It definitely flew shorter.
Yeah, you lost a club of distance there, didn't you?
No question that flew shorter. So that should be high. Or toey, sorry. Yeah. Ball speed went way down. Okay. I wouldn't say I mishit that worse than the similar shot I hit with the Strixons. There was a couple in there that were more or less the same as that exact swing.
Really interesting.
So directionally, it didn't punish me, but I seemed to lose. It was a good 8-9 yards there. A little thin.
Matt, I'm going to throw that second last one out as a bad read.
Think so, yeah?
I 100% think so. If we're going off of where you struck that second last one,
right.
Look, I was just looking at the strike there. Way closer to the center than the previous one, yet it was 10 miles an hour less ball speed.
Okay, so maybe just a bad read. It might have been a fraction heavy too, to be honest. Like it might have been just a hair heavy, so.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, because that last one was certainly thin, and it flew the full distance.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That one I hit as good as I can hit it. I mean, maybe it's flying 2-3 yards shorter. Maybe
farther.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's going further. Okay.
I think so.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Well, not so much. I mean, because that's a bit of an anomaly.
That's the pull. Yeah.
It is literally exactly the same. It's just that the Mura is way more predictable.
Now, I'm noticing a bit of a spin difference.
Yeah.
A little bit more spin from these guys, but not enough to be a factor.
It's just everything about this is so consistent.
Right.
I mean, look at the spin range. It's a few hundred RPMs, where you've got a range of nearly 1,000 between.
Yeah.
You know, it's significantly less.
Launch angles are almost at. So let me ask you this then.
Yep.
Because I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, am I swinging too consistently right now to compare the two?
Right.
My thought would be it's better that these 12 swings are almost the same, because we're literally
100%.
Getting apples to apples on
Yep.
this test.
We mishit one shot in that whole kind of set there.
Yeah.
That was a fractionally heavy one that you mentioned, and it honestly didn't even sound that heavy. That's why
No.
I never picked up that you would have lost the speed through the heavy strike.
And maybe the cavity just, helped me get away with it a little bit more on that, but it wasn't much.
Maybe.
It was barely
maybe.
anything.
I mean, this is why people go to a set of blades. Like a good
it's
player like yourself, because
consistent.
they're so consistent.
Yeah.
So
I guess my other question to you would be then, it's kind of strange that the launch angles are the same.
because of the CG difference.
Yeah. Because you'd think that I would hit the blade lower. Is that just a misconception in that case?
Probably the CG difference isn't on the vertical, isn't different enough.
Different enough.
Different
so you're
enough.
saying that from this blade, we got to go super game improvement iron to see a massive difference in where the CG is?
And to really lower it. Like,
Yeah.
if we think of one of the irons in the market right now that has, like the new PXG SGI.
Yes, the
with
sole
that
is this big.
huge wide sole.
Yep.
The slightly shallower club face. You might see a difference at that point.
What do you think about you want to hit a couple with something that's a big cavity, just to see if we can affect the launch angle?
Yes, but it's just loft, isn't it? It comes down to
so you wouldn't be able to adjust
consistency
the
of
loft.
loft.
Right.
What I love about this test is that we're literally comparing exact loft to exact loft.
Yes, true. So you couldn't achieve that with something that was already too strong. Plus, it's cast.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, this is just a perfect example as to what people will see.
Can we throw up the compare page just
Uh-huh.
to? So a fraction. Okay, so I shouldn't have said there's no difference. There's half a degree difference.
Yeah.
And maybe someone with less ball speed, that launch angle difference is more pronounced. Would that be a factor?
Yeah. If somebody spreads the strike across the face,
Yeah.
toe heel a little bit more, there would be more drop off with a blade.
Right.
You were hitting those nicely. I mean, there was a fraction in the toe with both.
Yep.
Just a fraction.
Pretty much the same kind of strikes.
Yeah.
A little higher on the. I mean, I think the thin shot brought
you
that.
did catch one a little thin, didn't
Yeah.
you? You've got 7 millimeters low as your average versus average 0. A couple of the early ones with the Strixon were a little high in the head.
Yep. There's no doubt that the one I hit with the Strixon where I told you that I struck it high in the face, the fact that still flew almost 200 yards, I think the forgiveness high in the face, I felt the difference there. But down here, that makes sense. There's more meat down here on a blade anyway. So if you're someone who fats it a bit,
Yeah,
I can see a blade being pretty punishing.
very, very much.
Yeah.
Very much so. Interesting. Guys, I think that the moral of the story is that the blade style clubs, they're bred to be super consistent.
Yeah.
In the terms of if you're hitting them good.
Yes.
They're designed to produce the same results over and over again. No doubt the cavity backs are designed to take the pressure off your strike and having to be in the middle all the time. It shouldn't turn people off. Well, hopefully seeing this shouldn't turn people off trying some smaller heads.
That's what I was going to say. It's at least worth trying it, because I could have tried it and gotten, my mishits could have been way worse with this based on the conditions of my swing.
Right.
But what you could take away is at least give it a shot. You had an interesting note about a student came in and got fit for MP18s.
MP18s, yeah, and we tried Apex, we tried 565s, we tried some other ones. For him, it was all turf interaction, so he needed way less sole mass to get in and out the strike much cleaner. So
I felt that as well.
did you really?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I felt like my strikes were just way less friction down through the turf.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in that kind of turf for too long, the club will start to sort of be affected and either twisted or slow down.
Right.
You want to be as efficiently in and out the strike zone as you can, which is why, like when you're talking to tour players, when they're trying different irons, a lot of what they're looking for is how it feels through the turf, how the club kind of performs in and out the strike. I think that's why you're super consistent with that one, because it's doing the same thing every time.
Right.
You don't need a big wide sole down there being stuck in the turf for too long.
Yeah. And we saw that with the fitting from last month with Steve. He came in and you ended up with a narrower sole one. Yep. He struck it way better.
With the Epic Pro, we just tidied up that strike. So I think one of the things with the Strix now, they've tried to build in the best of both worlds, a wider sole, but with that V sole with a high ridge in the middle, they're trying to basically, they're going with the full wide sole, but it's effectively halved because the back end of that sole isn't being used, because it's not actually playing a part. So it's just the middle to front is the only part that really is playing the big role.
Actually interacting. And I would say of larger irons that I've tried, that's by far the best feel and turf interaction that I've seen, because the comparable one that has a flat sole, as you say, it wouldn't be quite that nice. If
we take, and there's a player out there who needs this, but if we take it's not a great one, but if we take something like maybe like a Callaway Rogue, we take that big wide sole that's fairly flat, there's a little bit of radius to it, but it's fairly flat, but that's a wide sole.
Right.
Like if you get that your speed into the turf, like there's going to be some slowing down of the club head if you get a slight kind of heavy one. Right.
So moral of the story is, if you have any inclination to at least try a blade or a small cavity, give it a shot. See how your miss hit pattern. You may not see much of a drop off like I did with miss hits. It was some. It's worth considering. If
people are struggling with turf interaction and a lot of heavy shots, really consider the width of the sole and how that sole gets in and out there. Is there a bit of a pre-worn leading edge where the club can sort of get into the turf, and then there's a little bit of a high spot after that where it can push it back out again?
Okay.
That pre-worn leading edge is something club makers used to actually grind onto the club itself. And that was from looking at, heads that the old ball strikers would have. If you look at a Mizuno, even the game improvement iron, I'm looking at it right now, has a little pre-worn leading edge, so it's actually been ground so that the club gets in, then right back out the turf as quickly as possible. So they know they don't want that big wide sole in there for too long. They're trying to push that club back out and clean up the divot. You don't want the club working too deep, because at some point the ground will start to resist the club and slow it down.
Yeah. If you're going to go between, would you consider those Strixons like a medium-sized game improvement iron?
Yep.
So comparing those two blade, you can definitely see some similar performance.
Yep.
If you're going to start to compare a super game improvement to a blade, it's almost not even worth comparing them because they're so different and they're so differently designed.
Yep.
You could never compare them.
No, they're just start from two different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
Cool, excellent, guys. I hope you saw some good things there, and maybe kind of gave you some food for thought with regards to your own choices in irons. We just think this stuff's so valuable, because when you're out there, there's a lot of questions. Should I go with a blade? Should I go with a cavity back? Hopefully this sort of thing will help you make some better decisions when you're picking your own clubs. We still always think that you should get fit, and test these sorts of things out. I mean, we were effectively testing a theory today.
Yeah.
And I think we were pleasantly surprised on the performance of the blade.
I would agree.
I didn't think the blade would hold on that well.
No, it was maybe 10-15% less forgiving at most.
Yeah.
If not less.
And it just super consistent in terms of the performance. Guys, any questions regarding this video? We do try our best to get back to as many comments as we can, so leave them below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you again soon.